Welcome back to the Leading Yourself podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to give you the secret recipe to live a happier, healthier, and most significant life. We're going to be talking about living intentionally, which I have been referring all along as living your best life. There's research that backs up that people who live intentionally develop meaning early in life, set goals, and have a sense of direction. And they tend to report that their lives have more meaning, value, efficacy, and worth. They feel more meaningful. There's even research that backs up that people who live intentionally can decrease episodes of depression, tend to have lower risk of stroke, and spend less time in the hospital. They also maintain better cognitive skills, and they can recover quicker and more effectively from addictions. If this doesn't make enough of a business case for you to continue listening to today's episode, I don't know what would. So let's dig into living intentionally. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, health and fitness coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves. Those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. I would like to start this episode by defining what do we mean when we say living intentionally? So I asked Google, and this is the definition that I found. Intentional living is any lifestyle based on an individual or group's conscious attempt to live according to their values and beliefs. If I had to create my own definition, I would say something along the lines of intentional living is living with a why and showing up consistently in alignment with that why. In other words, living in congruence with our purpose and our values. Living intentionally is about, from my perspective, creating the life that you want for yourself based on what you think and you believe is important for you. Because we all have different values and belief systems and purpose, the intentional living is going to look different for everyone. At the same time, I think that we would be surprised on how many similarities we're going to find with others people's definition of intentional living or their definition of what living their best lives look for them. Our journeys might look different, but at the core, I think there are elements that we all want in our lives to call our lives intentional, to call our lives like the best life that we can have. As we go in this journey of living intentionally, and I'm going to be talking more about this, but we're going to be faced with many decisions. Some are going to be small, some are going to be bigger, and sometimes our decisions might be conflicting, right? When we want to achieve that best life, sometimes we need to make decisions that might be conflicting. Like, for example, you want to pursue a career, something that you're passionate about, and all of a sudden there is a job offer that comes by that is exactly what you want. But it comes with a price tag, which is sacrificing quality time with your family, which is also something that it's part of that vision that you have for your best life. So we're going to be talking more about this in today's episode. Because I think as we unpeel this onion, we're going to find that while it's simple, it's not easy. Many times, I have to say that we are caught up with working hard, right? We're hustling, we're working hard for what we think we want. And a lot of times we forget to ask ourselves is if what we're working at is what we're working for. In other words, is where we're putting our efforts, the things that are valuable for us. So instead of asking this question, we just stay busy, keep hustling until one day we look at the mirror and we realize that we're not living the life that we want to live, that something is it's missing, that there is an emptiness in our lives. If this has happened to you, taking the time to think about your vision for the future is a great step, and it will definitely help you correct course. But you can't stop there. You must follow through with intentional action, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, all that sounds great, but how do I do that, and where do I start to live an intentional life? So I have outlined 6 steps or 6 things that I think we need in order to live an intentional life. We're going to be talking about being clear with our core values and live and act in congruence with those values. We're going to be talking about defining our purpose. We're going to be talking about accepting responsibility. We're also going to be talking about making intentional living a habit. And then we're going to be talking about focusing one day at a time, one small action at a time. And finally, to listen to our heart and do more of what we love and let go of the rest. So let's go over all those 6 things. Let's start with be clear on what your core values are and act in congruence with those values. Your core values are how you choose your direction. You don't need to have your whole life figured out, but you do need to know what matters most to you. Everyone's core values are different, as I was saying before. If you have no idea what your core values are, start thinking about moments when you felt proud or happy and dig around those events. Generally, we feel good when we're living and acting in line with our values, and we feel bad when we violate our values. So doing some self-reflection or going back to our Seeking Clarity episode, journaling about this can help you narrow down what are your core values. When you know what your core values are, you can then make sure that your life that you're living in the outside matches with your inside. The next thing is to define your purpose. Purpose is clarity. We talked about clarity before, but being clear on who you are, why you're here, and the direction that you want to go. Your purpose is the thing that gives you energy, self-confidence, and self-assurance. There's a common thread of people that are purpose-driven, and that is that they know why they are here. They know where they're going. Having a clear purpose can help you live a more fulfilling life and improve your quality of life. Having a purpose also allows you to be happier, healthier, and feel more significant, which is what we're talking about today. So our purpose is at the core of living intentionally. How you define your purpose is probably a topic for a whole another podcast episode. Maybe one coming up in the near future. But to be clear, simple and intentional living doesn't mean that you have everything figured out, that you automatically are going to achieve every goal that you set for yourself, or that you're never going to have to deal with stress again. But it does mean that you will move forward with purpose, that the decisions that you make on a daily basis, that the things that you choose, the choices that you make in life are driven by your purpose. And know that you can choose to be intentional about your direction without knowing what your final destination is. Purpose is giving you direction, is not telling you the exact steps to take or how that destination is exactly going to look like. It's just setting clarity around your direction. The third thing is to accept responsibility. When we don't feel responsible for something, we start making excuses. Think about this for a minute. Think about the areas in your life where you don't feel responsible. I bet you those are the areas where you make the most excuses. When we are responsible means that we take ownership and accountability for our decisions and our choices, as well as the consequences of those decisions and those choices. If we have a clear purpose in life, if we know what our core values are, taking responsibility for our lives becomes much easier because we act in congruence to the things that matter most to us. And because they are the things that matter most to us, when we take responsibility, that gives us the power to figure things out. When you're really passionate about something, when something is really important to you, it's close to your heart, you're going to make anything in order to make that happen. And despite the adversities that come your way, you're going to stand up and figure out how to get through those hard times and how to get to where you want to go or create what you want to create. It's less likely that you're going to give up. It's less likely that you're going to make excuses for yourself. The next thing is to make intentional living a habit. You must create the habit of simple and intentional living. At the beginning, living intentionally is going to be uphill. And I love this quote from John Maxwell that says that anything worth pursuing in life is uphill. And intentional living is not an exception to that rule, really, because when we are fighting to live our purpose, it's going to feel uphill at the beginning. That's why creating habits is going to help us make it easier, make it part of our lives, make it part of who we are in a way that it doesn't feel as hard. What I think you need is a system that helps you to, first of all, continually clarify and connect with what matters most. The more that you connect with your personal vision and your purpose, the more real that is going to become, the more that you're going to become that identity. The second thing is this system needs to help you to audit your life. You need to have a clear way of reviewing what is supporting your vision and your purpose and what's not, so you can align your life accordingly. The third thing that this system needs to help you is to move forward and act on your intentions. This is so important because it's not intentional living if you're not following through with intentional action. You can have a clear vision, you can draft your purpose, but unless you take action, you're not going to live intentionally. Living is a verb, is an action, and it requires intentional action. Now, that can be a little bit overwhelming when you think about intentional action around our vision and our purpose and our values. It really looks uphill. It really looks hard. And the way that I've been able to break that down so it doesn't feel as overwhelming is by focusing one day at a time and one small action at a time. So taking one day at a time, thinking about what can I do today to live my purpose. And I love, I was reading something from John Maxwell, and I'm going to read it to you because I heard him talking about this on a podcast episode, and he said that he had this card with him and he would read this every day for years and years. And it was very inspirational for me because I truly believe that you can only take one day at a time. A lot of times when we start thinking about the day after today or the month or year or the decade after today, it can feel very overwhelming and we can get lost in thinking versus doing. And as we said, we need to take intentional action to live intentionally. So let me read this to you. Just for today, I will choose to display the right attitude. Just for today, I will determine and act on important priorities. Just for today, I will follow healthy guidelines. Just for today, I will communicate and care for my family. Just for today, I will practice and develop good thinking. Just for today, I will make and keep proper commitments. Just for today, I will earn and properly manage finances. Just for today, I will deepen and live out my faith. Just for today, I will initiate and invest in solid relationships. Just for today, I will model generosity. Just for today, I will embrace and practice good values. Just for today, I will seek and experience improvement. I will act on these directions and practices, these disciplines today. One day, I will see the compounding results of many days live well. Wow. That can also sound a little bit overwhelming. That's a lot of things to do today. And I'm not suggesting that you have a list as long as this one, but make your own list. I share this in previous podcast episodes, but one thing that I do every day, first thing in the morning, is that I write down the 3 things that I'm going to do today. I define them as my non-negotiables. And if those 3 things are aligned with your values and your purpose and your vision, you're going to create a tremendous momentum because, first of all, by doing those things, you're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to feel meaningful. You're going to feel like you've done something valuable today instead of spending all day in meetings or jumping from one thing to the next. But also, these small steps, they seem attainable, right? It's not that big vision long term that seems so far away and so overwhelming. Are things that you can do today. And by doing them, you're casting a vote to living your purpose. Or like James Clear would say, you're casting a vote for the person that you want to become. Because that's what purpose is at the end, right? It's about who we want to become. Okay, one last thing. Listen to your heart and do more of what you love and let go of all the rest. I mentioned this in previous episodes, but I think joy is something that we choose every day. So since we have been at home as a result of COVID, one thing that I've been doing is that every day I've been very intentional about adding at least one thing during my day that brings me joy. And that has been a game changer. Like I could be depressed or anxious because of everything going around, and it's easy to give up and it's easy to find excuses in the circumstances around us. But I think that one, practicing gratitude, but other, being intentional about adding things in your day every day that brings you joy. And this can be simple things like enjoying a cup of coffee, reading a good book, going for a walk. They don't have to be big things, right? It can be small things, but things that you really enjoy, things that fill up your cup. And I always say you need to start your day by filling up your cup, because when you fill up your cup, then you feel full. You feel in a position where you can give to others. And that always brings a sense of happiness, right? One thing that has always amazed me about life is how much it can change in such a short period of time. COVID has proved that to us, how our world, our lives have changed in the last 6-7 months. But just like an external dramatic event like this can change our lives, we can change our lives too. If I could go back in time and give my youngest self one piece of advice, I would say this. If you want to live a life that you truly love, the first and most important step that you need to take is to define what matters most to you. After all, you don't know what you want your life to look like. How can you create the life that you want? The beauty of intentional living, from my point of view, is that it compounds. It creates an incredible return of investment over time. Yes, it takes intentional action, which can be uphill, but the return of investment that you're going to see in living a happier, healthier, and more meaningful life is invaluable. So today, I want to encourage you to follow through and think about what are some small changes that you can make today to live in alignment with your values and your purpose. The key is that you come up with ideas that are so small, yet that you can say no to them. Some examples could be, if you want to spend more time with friends and family, you can find 5 minutes today to text them or call them or show gratitude to them. If you want to read more, you can commit to read 1 page of a book today before going to bed. If you want to get more sleep, you can adjust your bedtime and go earlier for 15 minutes. If you want to be clear of clutter at your home, you can try by choosing one small area at your home and start cleaning that up. So small actions, small choices that by themselves, you might not find meaning in them. You might say, okay, how is this going to allow me to live more intentionally, right? But remember, is the compound effect of small actions. And you can only move to an intentional living one step at a time. So think about the smallest step that you can take today and start there. And then you can keep adding things. So if you write down a list of all the things that could help you move towards that direction, those things that are aligned with your purpose, then you can choose one thing out of your list with no excuses and focus on that today. And then tomorrow, pick another thing and start adding more things to your life that are going to make you feel that you're more intentional about the way that you're living. But remember, start small, one thing at a time, one day at a time. Focus on today. What can you do today to live intentionally? And you will be amazed on that compound effect of what a series of days of living intentionally can add up to. And you're going to look back, and instead of finding yourself empty and like something is missing, you're going to feel meaningful, happy, and living a much healthier life. Okay, that's what I had for you today. I hope that you liked today's episode. I hope you find these little tips helpful in getting you thinking about how can you start living more intentionally. If you liked today's episode, please leave me a review in iTunes. Remember to subscribe so you get notifications every time that a new episode is available. And don't forget to share this episode with someone that you think can benefit from today's content. And with that, go live your best life, and I'll see you here on another episode of the Leading Yourself podcast.